Hey guys, this is Craig Talley, formerly with the Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio podcast, and I'm doing vlogs now every day. And this is vlog number 6, and this is using metal detectors to help friends. I had two friends that bought houses, and they couldn't find one of the uh, property markers. And the first one was my friend Pat Kelly. He bought a house past Fredericksburg, and it's in a real rural area. And he was going to put this, build a house there and everything, and ended up doing it. But he was on a cul-de-sac, and they couldn't find the the as you face his house, couldn't find the marker that was on the left side of his property, and they were talking about uh, bringing in metal detectors or some kind of device to find it, and it was going to cost him $5,000, and he couldn't afford it. He just, he struggled to pay for this house, and get the house, but all of a sudden they hit him up with this $5,000 fee, so he was telling me about it, and he said something about, do you think you could find it? And I said, of course I could find it. Get a metal detector. And so I said, well, let's go out tomorrow. And so we went down, and I was looking at the property, and I looked at the plot, and so I told him to bring a string or something, a long string. And so we hooked it up to one of the property markers, and I pulled it out and then got a general area of where that one side, where that one property marker should be. And so I walked up and started swinging, and I think about the sixth or seventh swing, I hit it, and I go, here it is right here. Pat was jumping up and down. He was screaming it, and I was like, man, most people only do that when they find something good. But when you find something that saves somebody $5,000, of course they're going to be jumping up and down. And uh, I got he he was saying, he wanted to reward me and everything, and I said, I don't want any money. I said, you've been a friend of mine for years, and he kept saying, oh, I want to do something for you, and I said, just take me out to dinner or something. So that's what I did. Another guy was a friend of mine, Chuck Littlepage. He bought a property near Quantico, and it was near the gate. And when I heard about it, I said, there was Confederate camps just inside Quantico there. That's the Marine Corps. And I said, man, there might be stuff, around, in this area here. And so he was on the end of a cul-de-sac also, and then there was a bunch of woods behind his house, and then on one side, and then there was an abandoned farm. And so it was also on a, it was kind of hard to find. And so we did the same thing. We took a rope and measured it and tied it to one of the front markers, and then pulled it to the back. And I started making an arc with it back and forth, so I had an idea where it might be. So I started hunting, and it was funny. I hit this stick, and what I thought was a stick, and it was making a signal, and I thought the signal was in the ground, and it turned out to be the stake was sticking up, but it looked like a stick. And I found it in probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes after I walked back there. And I got another signal, and I told him, I said, I'm going to dig this one. This one sounds really good. And I dug down, and it was a Civil War bullet. And I went, oh my God. And it was an infield. And so I said, oh my God, there's got to be a camp here or something. And so he said, well, you can come back anytime you want. And so I said, thanks. And so I went down there and started off walking along the fence line where the old farm was. And I saw kind of a pit. And I was swinging toward the pit. I got a signal, and I dug one of these, what's called a picket bullet. And I believe it was a 52 caliber bullet. And it wasn't hollowed at the end. It was like a pointed bullet that just, was kind of like a cone. They're kind of weird, but they're very rare, I think. And they were kind of associated with the more poor soldiers in the Confederacy, from what I heard. But anyway, in this one pit, I dug over 100 of those picket bullets. And I started hunting around, and there was a lot of melted lead around that area, so they'd been making bullets there. And don't think I found I didn't find any Confederate buttons, but I did find flat buttons in that same area. Wasn't a whole lot, but these bullets. I ended up going up the hill, and there were some power lines nearby, and I found some bullets there. I later talked to a relic hunter I knew, and he said that they dug those picket bullets up that way too. And so there was also a farm, and it was abandoned, and so I started going there, checking it out, and I got a few on the very far, about a quarter of a mile from where I was finding the picket bullets. I found this one area where there was about 25 69 caliber three ringers, and those are really heavy bullets. They weigh like 1.5 ounces. You imagine getting hit by one of those. But Chuck was a huge guy. He weighed, between 300 and 400 pounds, and I got a really good meal out of that deal. So what do you think, guys? How do you like my vlogs? And give me some suggestions on what you want to hear from next.